Now let's have a look at the price and financing provisions of the regional contract. This paragraph is found on the first page of the regional contract, right below the real property paragraph. Some pretty important numbers go in this paragraph. Let's look at it carefully. To begin, we're going to deal with the down payment. The down payment is the difference between the purchase price of the property and any financing that the buyer is getting. So, for example, if the buyer is paying $500,000 for the property and getting a $400,000 loan, the down payment is $100,000. If the buyer is buying a $500,000 property and paying cash, i.e. no financing, the down payment is $500,000. Now, speaking of financing, the typical financing that we will see a buyer get, the buyer will get a first trust. First trust simply means that the lender who's loaning the money to the buyer is not just loaning it to the buyer out of the goodness of their hearts and not just based on the buyer's good credit, but also based upon the fact that the buyer's promise to pay can be secured by the property in a first position, meaning that the lender will have a lien against the property and it will be a first lien. That's what a first trust is. And the first mortgage that the buyer would be getting in this instance is in our example, a $500,000 purchase price, a $100,000 down payment. The buyer in this instance would be getting a $400,000 loan. That's what will go in this spot. Sometimes buyers get second trusts or second mortgages. There are many loan programs today where a buyer might not have quite enough money to put down, say, 20%, but they could borrow a certain amount from one lender and a first trust of some amount and help to subsidize the absence of a large down payment with a second mortgage or second trust. Sometimes we even have a situation where the seller participates in the financing, and that's called a seller-held trust. The total financing blank here is the sum total of the different types of financing described in section B above. If the buyer is simply getting a first trust of $400,000, what would go in that space would be $400,000. Paragraph A, down payment would say $100,000, and then the sales price would say $500,000. The number that goes in the sales price blank is the sum of the down payment and the total financing.